Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, we're moving at warp speed. Time to slow it down a bit. And you know what? Garage Ed is all about the e-brake. Now, the e-brake's a mechanical link to the wheels to stop them, not hydraulic. The brake system's hydraulic, so it's a backup system. Well, how does it work? Everybody knows how it works. You hit the pedal, and it either engages, locks your brakes, or you pull up on a handle. The magic's all in the cutaway. Check this out. So what's happened is I'm going up and down. As I pull the lever up and down, you can see the shoes are actuating in and out. So the shoe would actually contact the drum out here. Now what's going on is you can see right here, this is an actuator that's tied into the emergency brake, and then the cable comes all the way up and it's attached to the handle. So voila, pull up on the emergency brake, shoes engage, you're going to stop the vehicle. You could have a hydraulic failure and you still have that mechanical backup. Now you may have one that's a caliper. Calipers also have emergency brakes built into them. Throw up the red flag. Stop. We're so used to pulling these in. When we put a C-clamp on them, we push it in. We can destroy this one. How are you going to know? Well, look at the back of the caliper right here. You see all this apparatus right here? This is actually a cable-driven mechanical caliper. Plus it's hydraulic as well. So right here on the inside, you can see how it works all there. As you pull the e-brake, it's going to mechanically drive it out, but also works hydraulically as well. So you can see a tool. I have a tool right here. And this tool right here is really cool. This is how we're going to actually engage it. You have to have this tool. Don't go get a C-clamp. Don't get a press. Do not push these mechanical calipers in, please. They'll never come back out. So the little dimples right here, I'm going to get the tool. I'm going to put it in those little dimples holes. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me with the tool to actually put a little tiny bit of pressure with this one. So I would turn this one and put a little pressure on it, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to wind it in. When I turn this here, you can see you're actually winding the caliper in just as it would wind out. So that's the tool you have to use when we're dealing with a mechanical driven and hydraulic caliper all built into one. Now here's the cool one. We did this a couple of seasons ago and this thing still amazes me. This is actually electronic driven e-brake. Also has hydraulics built into the back of it, but electronic on the front of it. And guess what? Of course, we're going to show it to you in action. So here's the deal. I would never do this, and don't do this at home because obviously the computer actuates it and there's all kinds of sensitive electronics going on. But at Tech Garage, I'm going to go ahead and drive this thing. When I drive it, watch. Pretend you're pushing the e-brake button. So I push the e-brake button. When I push the e-brake button, there it goes. It starts winding it out. When it winds it out, it clamps it right in there. Just like that. You can actually hear that on your car. Then when you want to go, you release it. All it does, reverse the polarities. It's a bidirectional motor. It winds it in. Notice it's winding it in, but the piston's not going in. Well, once you wind it in, then you can come back and push on this one and it can retract. But how you wind it in is going to be in the service manual. You may have some dash, infotainment systems you have to go in. You may have to use a scan tool, but once again, electronic e-brake. Throw up a red flag. It's the new technology. It's cool stuff. It works really great. Speaking of cool stuff, Dave has one more setup on this Challenger that has some shoes incorporated in the back of a rotor. Too cool. And so is Dave. Let's check in with him.
Well, John showed you a lot of different types of emergency brakes, but here's one he didn't show you. On our Challenger here, we take a look. Looks like a regular disc brake, right? Well, it is, but we look at the caliper and we see that there's no cable coming in, so it's not an electronic e-brake system, and there's no lever, so that means it's not mechanical. So where's the emergency brake? Let me show you. You take the disc, we'll pull it off, and it's essentially a drum brake inside the disc here. So we have shoes, and they push out. So these are in the détente position, and the springs actually pull them together. And when you pull the emergency brake, those shoes push out and they push against the inside of what is a drum inside the disc. And there is your emergency brake. So now that we have this off, I do want to make a note. We pulled the caliper off. It's connected by the hose there, and you do not want to let the weight of the caliper be held up by that hose. So we took a bungee cord here to take up that tension, and that is going to save us a lot of heartache in the long run. Now that we have our disc and drum system pulled off, we want to take a look here at our shoes and see if there's any debris in there. It's going to be some obvious stuff when you do the visual inspection, and this looks pretty good. So we're going to start sanding here. We're going to make sure we have a good coefficient of friction, get some of the dirt off of there and get a nice even surface for our drum to grab onto. And then we'll do the same thing over here on the drum as well. You're going to sand around the entire thing to make sure that we have a nice grippy surface, and then it's going to help us stop. And the final step, of course, we want to take some brake clean. Make sure you got something to catch all this debris underneath, by the way, as we have here. We're going to take our brake clean, give it a nice spray and get all the junk off of here. Do the same thing on our drum inside our disc, and we will be good to go. That one's dripping there, so I'll put it there. One other thing I want to show you, have you ever been in a car where you pull the emergency brake handle and it just flies way up in the air and there's hardly any resistance to it? There is an adjustment you can make, and it's this star adjuster right here. You can just take a screwdriver and you push on one of the gears, and that'll move these shoes up and down, and that'll control how much it actually rubs inside the drum here. And you want it to rub just a little bit on the inside of this drum. And on the inside of the car, you want 2 or 3 notches on your emergency brake when you pull it up. Just a couple little minor adjustments and a little bit of work, and your emergency brake will be as good as new. Do not go anywhere, because next segment we have our MTTT. That's the Master Technician Tech Tip. It's a good one, so stay tuned to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com.